This is podcast number 2. We're at Blue Way instead of my house, instead of my mansion. We're at this mansion. And I picked George up from
7-Eleven. 7-Eleven over here by Portland.
I picked him up by 7-Eleven. I found him trying to...
Half dead. I was half dead. I was starving.
he had no food, so I bought him a glizzy. And then...
Man, that's weird.
and then I brought him here. And now we're doing the podcast.
Now we married and happy.
That's not true. So... Actually, what we're in is we're actually in one of Abraham's flips that he's been working on. It's actually the largest flip he's done.
Nice.
And this flip is when I started first filming with him. And if you look around, this dude painted all the black stuff around here.
Don't judge me. I did my best.
It looks pretty bad. No, just kidding.
It looks good.
But damn, I have to edit this a lot. I don't even know what I'm gonna say.
Bro, you said you had the question.
No, I have no questions.
God damn.
All right, so I'm just waiting here till pizza gets here because I'm hungry. But
That's what you do in the podcast. I found it your trick, bro. Your life hack. I found out your life hack.
what
It's
is it?
film it and get him free food.
Yeah, when I film, I get free food.
Man,
so
that's
I'm
smart.
always filming.
El
But-
inteligente.
El más inteligente. El duro.
El más fucking cabrón.
All right, so when did you first start working on this project, this house? Do you remember the first day? Like what you did?
Yeah, I think it was around New Year's, bro. It was around that time.
Yeah, because that's when, were you the first person to start working here?
No.
Who's your before?
Damn, I think I was.
Because when I first came...
No, it was the texture. It was Francisco.
Oh, it was the texture guy?
And Francisco and what is it called? The Tayo guy.
Okay, because when I
Don
came
Chayo.
here, I remember the first day I came here, I pulled up in Abraham's truck, and the reason I came here was because I just got my camera. So I got the camera, and I pulled up here, and we opened the door, and there's just lacquer everywhere. Like, it's all black, everything's covered. The smell is so strong.
I got him high that day. You get high?
I didn't get high.
Yeah, you didn't get high. Well, I think you did, bro. I think we all did.
Not me. You did, but you had like 3 other people. Or 4.
Yeah, my uncle and Ian. I know,
No, not Ian.
Uriel.
Uriel. He was a kid, or it looked like a young kid that didn't like to be on camera.
Uriel.
Uriel?
Oh, the other dudes. The fat kid and then his dad.
Yeah. So
Yeah, those are the best workers.
I remember, I came here and it was just everything was covered and there was just black fog everywhere. And I remember what I did first. The first thing I filmed was the jet tub motor.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that or no?
No.
All right, I'm going to explain it. So we actually worked with a guy named Don, and I was supposed to research his company, but I didn't. So his name is Don, and he works for I think it was a company that deals with pools. Yeah, pools. And so Abraham reached out to him first time, and instead of Don coming out here and charging him like $1,000, he just called him on the phone and says, "Hey, I'll just tell you how to fix it over the phone." And he charged Abraham nothing. So instead of spending like $1,000, Abraham only spent like 200 something for the materials, and that was it. He did it himself. And I documented it, but it wasn't edited very well. So
Next time I'm just gonna call Abraham, hey bro, yeah, just keep sending and
But that's a good idea. Like I think a lot of tradespeople should do stuff like that. Like if the job is very simple like that, you probably could have coached someone over the phone. This is how you do it. That's a good reputation right there.
Nah.
Because if you think about it, Don could have came out here and got paid $1,000, but since Don is such a good guy, he coached Abraham how to do it over the phone.
Or maybe he didn't want to do it, and he just was like,
that's
look, you're like, bro, you know what? I'm gonna charge you $1,000 if I do it. So why don't you just do it? It's gonna be easy.
But then that's what Don did because he's a good guy, good reliable contractor. That's what we're trying to highlight. Not you.
Okay, Don. Good job, bro.
Good job, Don.
Good job.
I'm sorry I forgot the name of your company, but
Damn.
I'll put it up somewhere.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, I feel bad. Hopefully he's not the owner. But no free clout.
No,
So, and then after the tub jet motor, what else was done to this house? I mean, this house.
the fence, the vents.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you see the foam on the vents.
One of the biggest projects done on this property
That was nice.
was the ductwork. And I actually didn't really know what ductwork was, but it's like these massive vents that shoot out from, they circulate the air through the house, and these ducts are in the ground. They're underneath where we are.
All the around the house.
And when Abraham did his inspection, they were blowing out sand. So there was a hole somewhere in the duct, and some of them were blowing out sand, and sand was piling up in the vents. And Abraham used a company called Allergy Control, and the owner is Mike, and his very experienced worker named Gavin that you went to high school with.
Yeah,
right?
I had classes with that guy.
So, what do you know about Gavin? Expose him. Spill the tea.
He's cool, bro. He's cool. He's like the cool kids.
Is he?
He's cool, yeah. I don't really remember much about high school because I was always high, but.
Is that what you're gonna put out?
But he was cool. I never be friends with him in high school. But I was like, hey, bro, you went to high school, huh? Because I remember the faces. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I remember it. I remember you too. I'm like, that's cool. How's been after high school? You just put in work, bro.
But Gavin came out here. It was Mike, who's the owner of it, the owner of Allergy Control. That's the people we use for the ducts. It was Allergy Control. Gavin is, I think, like 25 or something, but he looks really young. He looks like he's 18. And
yeah, he looks young.
He looks really young.
He's my age. He's like 25.
But he's super experienced in what he does, and he knows what he's talking about because he's done it for like 5 or 8 years. And so we had them come in here, stick a camera. We had them first vacuum out the ducts with a giant ass vacuum, and then they ran like a spray, kind of like your spray gun, spray the inside.
Yeah, actually it's the same machine.
Yeah,
it's like the same machine. It's like Graco.
Pretty similar machine. I don't know anything about those machines, but they sprayed the inside with something. I don't know what they sprayed it with, but that's who did the duct work. I'm trying to think what else. I know you did all the paint, and it does look pretty nice. Actually, looks really nice.
Yeah, it does. It does make a good contrast with the wall.
I'll show the paint after what it looks like. What else happened here? The bathroom was redone. We had who's the tile guy?
Don Chayo.
He did the tiles for the bathroom. He doesn't speak much English, but he knows what he's doing. And I filmed him, even though he felt pretty uncomfortable. But I filmed him. And he did the tile, which looks really nice.
Did he tell you anything about not filming him?
Who?
Don Chayo.
I haven't really. I've never had a conversation with
really?
Don Chayo. No, never.
You just were like.
Yeah, I didn't know what. That was me.
You're not supposed to do it. That's how you ever had.
That was me.
You're doing it right.
That's basically all I did with Gonchayo. But now I know who else. Edgar did. Oh shoot, we have an intruder.
Oh shit.
Oh my gosh, it is an intruder. Yo, you wanna?
What's going on here?
Were you?
Are there squatters setting up a?
We was talking about the weekend.
Talking about what now?
The weekend.
We're actually talking about. So we decided to film the second podcast at Blue Way about Blue Way.
Oh, this is the podcast.
Pretty much, yeah. This is our bushwhack setup. This is what we have. This is what we're working with.
I love it.
Abraham's supposed to be here with food, so that's what we're waiting for.
There you go.
And then we're gonna
The
throw him
food.
on here. That's the main reason why we're filming.
Main
this.
reason you're here for pizza?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
Is that why you're here for pizza too?
No, I'm actually
How you doing?
doing good, man. No, I actually just came here to pick up my sign because
really?
I'm out of signs.
Oh.
So, and my broker was like, hey, so there's like some changes to the MLS rules, so we're like holding off on signs right now, but I can get you like signs with a rider. And I was like, okay, send them to me. And then I haven't gotten them yet, and so I'm like, okay, so like we're listing North Shawnee tomorrow. So
Oh, that's good because I need my money back.
I need my money back too.
Yeah.
So so I was like, well, I think Blue Way, we got that figured out. I think we're good.
And so Blue A, this one's getting sold Friday, right? Or that's when?
Yeah, in a week.
Okay.
Week from today is the close date.
That's good.
So that's pretty much guaranteed. Almost guaranteed it's going to close.
The buyers are non-refundable now. They're hard.
Okay.
So title's clear. God, we went through the appraisal. That was horrible. And then
I think I might have to swap you out because I think we were talking about the work being done.
about the work being done.
And then
we should. Oh yeah, we can talk about the.
We're not going to talk about everything because we don't want to make us look bad, but we'll we'll cover what needs to get covered.
Yeah, I'll let you kind of control the flow of the conversation because I'll tell everything.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're gonna expose everybody.
Yeah, he's gonna expose
I'm gonna go Cat Williams on everybody.
for most people, they don't know who you are. So what do you do, or who are you?
Who am I?
Okay, get sweetie right here.
All right, we're gonna swap them out. We'll wait till Abraham. We'll swap people out.
I'm gonna wait till the pizza gets here.
All right, Jersey
Yeah,
pizza.
Here you go.
All right. So from what I know, you're Abraham's broker. Or
Yeah. So I am I'm a real estate agent.
Okay.
And I help Abraham out with his listings, and then also on the wholesale side, I am the dispositions manager. So dispositions means, right, so basically whenever we get a deal, there's multiple things that we can do with it. So we can wholesale it, which means that we'll take the contract that we have on the house and then flip that contract to another investor. We will fix and flip it just like Blue Way, possible buy and hold, creative finance, novation. There's all kinds of different strategies. And so I kind of help Abraham determine what strategy to go with for any of those deals. And then at least on the wholesale side, I'm responsible for getting the buyer.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And I guess for this property, wasn't this one like your most expensive property you guys done? Like the most expensive flip? I think. For what
It's yeah. I think as far as the sales price goes, as far as what Abraham has done in Oklahoma, and from what I've done with him, I think this is the highest sales price that we've done. And I think for dollar wise, the amount of rehab, I think it's really close. It's really close since Abraham and I have been working together to the most expensive.
Yeah, that's what I knew, is that this one was the biggest project.
Mhm.
And yeah, there was a lot of stuff done to it. And when did it start? Do you remember? When we first...
So we closed in December
Okay.
of last year, and work pretty much started immediately after that. So that would be December of 2023, and then we went all the way until we listed it, which was, I believe, late February.
Okay, so maybe under 3 months?
Yeah, under 3 months, for sure.
That's pretty good. And
Yeah.
so we talked about how, well, when I first showed up here to this property, it was under construction.
Yeah.
And I just got the camera.
hmm
And I remember when I came in here, I was talking with George, is that, I don't know how often you visit his flips, but
How often I visit Abraham's flips?
yeah.
I visit them probably at least once a week.
Really?
Just to come in. I was here. I mean, I wasn't here as often as you because, I've got other things going on with Abraham. I've got my own business too that I'm, where I'm like listing properties and things like that. But I always, and even like for any other clients that have like flips going on, or especially houses that we wholesale to, I always follow up with investors to see how they're going, right? And it kind of helps out Abraham too, because number one, we're able to see where the market's going. And then number two, we're able to figure out what people are paying for certain rehab. And then we can kind of determine as far as like in the fix and flip operations, okay, so in this area, like people are able to get, a shower remodel for this amount. Whereas we paid this amount at this flip. maybe we can see if we can talk to their contractor, or at the very least, we can see if we can find a better deal. You know, so
All right, that is very useful because that
Yep.
sometimes I do that. Like when we were in Norman, I was looking for other contractors.
yeah,
But that is a good strategy to do.
yep. Real estate's all about relationships. You just get to know as many people and just provide value as much as you can, and then you're able, and just by doing that, you're able to get a lot of information that will help your business.
And do you know like how many contractors Abraham has cycled through? Because I'm assuming it's a lot, or is it?
I would say he probably cycles through, for the most part, maybe not painters, but
You hear that?
but I would say probably on average maybe 3 per trade,
Dang.
something like that. But I mean, Abraham will know better than me. But just on my conversations with him, I think it's around there.
Yeah. And then, so everything got done with this property. I
Mhm.
remember the jet tow motor. Me and George talked about Don coaching Abraham through it. Gonchayo, that was his name.
Yeah, okay.
Did the floors in the bathroom. We had Gatsby Glass do the glass shower doors. We're not going to talk about them much. George did all of the painting and stuff, which actually
Yep.
came out really well, and it's very
Yeah.
high quality. Especially when you touch it, it's like super smooth and like
Yeah,
glossy almost.
yeah.
Big one was,
George did a nice job.
yeah, it was very nice.
Thank you.
Big one was allergy control. We had them come in here like
Yeah.
that was a big one, and we didn't
Yeah.
expect. I didn't know what anything.
Allergy control saved the day.
Yeah,
Like-
that was our biggest concern because like if it went worst case scenario, we would have to break concrete like right around there in that spot, and it would just we'd have to redo. Abraham said we'd have to redo the floor
Yep.
behind us.
Yeah.
and it would look all different.
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Well, we would have to dig up like the ductwork, and we'd have to dig all that out, and that would mean so ductwork is expensive, and then digging up all the flooring, that's just going to be way extra cost. I want to say. I mean, they probably saved us at least $6,000 in repairs at least. Like it was, yeah, they saved the day for sure.
Yeah, and it was not only that, but they were a great company to work with. Like Mike, the owner, he's a great guy, and then the people that work under him is Gavin, who went to high school with George, and Gavin's brother, who's his assistant. And Gavin, I don't know if you met him or maybe you've seen him.
I've met Gavin. I did. I met Gavin. So actually, allergy control actually came over to my personal house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had I had issues with my HVAC unit, and they were actually really cool. So because they primarily deal with just ductwork and ventilation. So whereas most HVAC technicians will deal with the actual unit, so they'll deal with the furnace and the condenser, they deal with just the ductwork. And so when my HVAC was going wrong, I was like, okay, it's either something is really wrong with our ductwork because there's just no flow coming in. So it's either something is up with our ductwork or our blower motor is out. And and so I didn't really know. So I had allergy control come over. And Mike came through, he inspected the ducts, and he was like, your ducts are perfect, it's probably something to do with your unit, and he actually didn't charge me anything.
Dang.
He was just all about just helping people and providing value. It was really cool.
Yeah, for here we had them do a lot. Like
Yeah.
They had to go through all the vents, and we had them come back. I think they came here a total of 3 times. One to coat it the first time, then a second, and then I think we had them come back again because like one of the vents has a little bit of sand, and we just want to double check just to make sure.
Yep.
I don't know. I think they came here already. I actually forgot. But along with that, I do remember we kept the floor, so we didn't change the flooring.
Yep.
We kept the wall, the drywall.
Mm-hmm.
What else did we keep?
We really kept a lot of the original charm from the house. Like we didn't touch most of the Actually, I don't think we even touched the cabinets in the kitchen.
Actually, I do remember. Okay, now I remember. In the very beginning, along with that, there was like the cabinets had this weird, I don't know how to say it, like glass stuff that was on it. We chipped that off. We resprayed them, or George sprayed the cabinets.
That's right. We did do that.
LED lighting was added.
LED lighting was added. Yeah. Yep.
We had a resurfacing company resurface the kitchen
Yep.
and both the bathtubs in the
Mhm.
house.
Yep.
And then George also painted the atrium as well,
Mhm.
from what I know.
Mhm.
And I think that's most of the major work that was done this place.
We put on a new roof.
Oh yeah, the new roof that came after the inspection.
Yeah. So we actually, this is something that we'll be adding to SOPs. So whenever we first got the house under contract, we had a building inspector just kind of come in, and he didn't get up on the roof, but he just kind of looked and was like, "Yeah, the roof looks okay from here," and it looked all right. And then whenever we went under contract the first time, well, actually, a little bit before that, we actually had somebody that was fixing like a couple of shingles toward the top of the gable, and he said that he noticed quite a bit of hail damage. So we're like, okay, hopefully we don't get hit with it on inspections. And then when we were under contract the first time, it was like very first thing. So they brought a roofer out, and they came over and they were like, yeah, this thing needs to get replaced.
Yeah, actually, right before here, Abraham gave me his original inspection list.
Yep.
And we were going through it, comparing the one we got when we bought it versus
Yeah.
the buyer's one. And I guess that's something like sometimes they come out pretty different. And I don't
They
know,
do.
like,
Yeah.
and so why is that they come out like different like that? Is it just like the inspectors suck, or what do you?
No, so I mean, so you will get different results. I mean, with inspection reports, a lot of the same. You'll have a lot of commonality, but it'll just depend on how in depth the inspector will go. You know, like for example, like I mean, our inspector didn't get up on the roof or anything.
Oh, yeah.
The second inspector, he didn't examine the ductwork at all.
Yeah.
Which
is
is
that
what-
something they're supposed to do? Or?
That is something they're supposed to do.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, in a typical home inspection, what are things that they do versus things that they don't do? Because I'm assuming roof is going to be one,
Yeah.
ductworks, but aren't there things that
Yeah.
they don't
So the way that you can think about a home inspection, this is just from my point of view. An inspector might get offended if they hear what I say, but basically, what an inspector is kind of like is kind of like a dog that's like sniffing for something, right? So they come in and all they do is they just point to something and say, "Hey, that thing I think might need repair, or that thing needs to be looked at." And then if there's glaring code violations too, they'll point that out as well. And so in their report, what you'll get is you'll basically get different tiers of recommendations. You'll have some where it's severe and it's like, hey, these things are actually detrimental to the safety of occupants, or they're glaring code violations. These things really need to get fixed. Then you have like another tier below it, which are recommendations. And they are, this thing may technically not be up to code, or, this thing, like for example, the roof looks a little old, it looks a little dated. I would probably get a roofer, or I would probably get an HVAC technician. So they won't actually tell you with certain items where like you usually have to be a licensed professional. They won't give you an opinion on that. They'll just say you should go find somebody to give you an opinion on that because something's not smelling right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think Abraham told me as well with this inspection, the original one, is that he wasn't there when it happened, right? I think he was out of state.
When
he was away.
with the original with the first
Yeah,
with the
our
first fire, you
inspection.
mean?
No, our when he bought the place, his first inspection. He was.
His first inspection. I'm trying to remember if he was here. I think he might.
I think it was cut short, from what I know.
He was. I know that he was going out of town really soon because I think that was like right before Thanksgiving.
I don't even remember when.
Yeah, because we went under contract in November of last year. So it was probably around there. But yeah, I remember. It was kind of like we had the inspector come in, and then and then Abraham was like, "All right, I gotta leave." But yeah.
I remember that. And another big thing that I haven't talked about yet was the steel piers that we had done. Those were from what I know, is the two biggest like expenses we had here: the roof and the steel piers.
Yeah.
And I made videos on Joey with the piers, and so we had to do them. Didn't they do them twice as well? Like they did them.
The piers.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
yes.
they added some on this side, and then their next inspection they had to do some over there.
Yeah, so we had some over here, and then I think back there. I think we had 5 piers, 5 steel piers done originally. And then when we were under contract with the first buyer, they had a structural engineer come in. And the structural engineer noticed that there was some movement over on this side. And he did a really common test that a lot of like foundation contractors and structural engineers will do, is where over by like where walls join, he will actually push and see if they shake, and if they do, that indicates that there's settling and there's severe movement, and that's remedied by wall anchors.
So that pushing technique, he pushes against, typically it's brick, right?
Yep.
Like they push against brick, and if they feel any movement, then that's signs of there's some settling going on here. And I really like Abraham's his explanation of settling.
Yeah.
Of like when you if you're holding a cake, or if you have a cake, there's always that cardboard circle that's underneath it to keep it supported.
Yeah.
And if you try to pick it up, it'll start to droop, and that's kind of like a house. Like that cardboard is kind of represents the piers, and if there's not that support, then it'll start to like droop around. I don't know. I like that analogy that Abraham has. But your first structural inspection, because did you guys have one on this property?
Did we get a structural engineer report?
Or something like that, because like
No.
they picked up on the piers that needed to be here, but not over there.
So I think, if I remember when we were talking with Joey, that he said that we definitely needed piers over here, and then over there it was like a judgment call.
Oh, okay.
It was like, yeah, maybe you'll get somebody that's really sensitive and will want pier work over there, but it's not that serious in his. If I remember right, that's what he said. So like he mentioned it, but because it was a judgment call, we were like, well, let's wait till we get to the TRR phase of the contract, and then we'll negotiate that if we have to. But what happened was that we had a structural engineer come in, and structural engineers are like foundation contractors, they're very much on like the practical side of foundation repair. Like they're like, okay, they are all about the nuts and bolts, whereas structural engineers, they like go to school for their stuff, and so they're a lot more theoretical.
Okay.
And so because of that, they're very by the book.
Structural engineers, and so they're the professionals, right?
Yeah.
They're not normal home inspectors.
No, they're not. No, so typically, they do become, whenever you've got a homeowner that's either dealing with a home that's in a slightly higher price range, which for Oklahoma, this would count as that, or if you've got a house that has like some severe foundation issues, then typically what they'll do is they'll get a structural engineer. And structural engineers will usually cost about $500 for them to come out and give you a report, and then they'll go from there as far as like determining if they need foundation repair or whatnot.
When they brought out their structural engineer, I remember it was the piers there, and also in the attic. I forgot what they were called, but like those wooden.
They're cross beams.
Yeah, those cross. They had a specific name that Abraham told me, but I keep forgetting. And I know we had Raul.
I'm not sure. They're not purlins, I don't think.
No, that's not the name.
But they're like a cross section.
Yeah, so Raul had to go up there and install those in there, and that was from the structural engineer's report. So we also had to put in extra. I think they're called piers as well. I don't know if they're wood piers. I don't know. I think it might have been piers, but it was basically like those giant wooden things.
Yep.
You just add more into the attic.
Yep. It's just for added support.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
From what I know.
Yep. So, but yeah, so the structural engineer, he recommended 3 steel piers, and then I think either 4 or 6 wall anchors over here.
Okay.
And then there were 2 cross beams that were put in the attic, which really the cross beams probably were probably a bit superfluous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were when the house was built, they weren't put there. It's really just more of, hey, you know, we want some extra support. So, but we did it because, you know, we care about providing a good product whenever we flip.
Yeah, that's another thing. Abraham doesn't like skip out or
No.
do things like that, and that's another thing that Joey and I think Allergy Control likes about Abraham is that they went through the extra effort to do those things, to have Allergy Control come out here and basically do all the work that they did, which was a lot. And there was another thing. Oh yeah, there's another thing Abraham wanted me to talk about. I think it had to do with the. He told me about an article that was written. And I don't know if this is true. He said some SEO company wrote an article about how when a house has cracks on it, that you don't always have to get a structural engineer or someone like Joey from Patriot to put in piers. That you can just paint over those cracks and hide it. And that's something that they wrote. And Abraham said that, no, that's not what we do. So we always have people come out here to check to make sure that a property is not settling.
Yeah.
And so Abraham doesn't take that short route. And I think he told me about, I don't know what the company was, but it was apparently an SEO company that wrote about painting over cracks like that.
Yeah.
Which are signs of settling. And therefore, Abraham always gets people like Joey to put in piers to make sure that he doesn't skip out on work like that, which can be really, can you get sued for that?
So if you know that something is wrong with the house and you don't disclose it, yeah, that's illegal.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because I think they criticize Abraham a little bit for always when he sees cracks, always checking if piers need to be added and then adding them, which I think is the right thing to do.
It's 100% the right thing to do.
So I didn't know that. I for me, I learned a lot when I was touring all these properties. I didn't know cracks in the ceilings meant settling or things.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, which in Oklahoma you're gonna get that quite a bit.
And it's because of the soil, right? That's.
Yep. Yeah, it's because of the red clay that's in our soil. Yeah, it causes a lot of settling for sure.
So I guess because I never knew that in other places because I'm from New Jersey and I never knew any of that stuff. I don't know if our soil is better or worse, but I don't know what makes the soil so bad. But I guess we have a lot of settling. I'm trying to think of what else. Hopefully Abraham gets here so he can save me.
No, you're good.
And bring me pizza. So, I mean, I think we covered a lot of what we did here. What
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, so the buyer that we are currently that we are closing with, so the TRR that we wound up agreeing on was really small.
So, what do you mean by that?
The TRR.
Yeah.
So the TRR, so that is something that's commonplace in pretty much 99% of retail transactions. Retail meaning you're actually getting with a real estate agent and you're putting your house on the market, right? So the normal course of things is you'll go under contract with a buyer. That buyer will conduct a home inspection, and that inspector will then report back things that need to be addressed with the property, in their opinion, and then the buyer will then make a wish list of things for the seller to repair. So, and that wish list is called, in Oklahoma, is called a TRR. It stands for treatments, replacements, and repairs.
Okay.
And in every other state, they also do that, but it goes by a slightly different name. But yeah, so that's why whenever you're working with a company like Easy Home Offers, they buy property what's called as is, right? So that means that whenever they do their inspections, right, they won't ask you for repairs. And repairs can get costly. I mean, with Blue Wave, the first one was a new roof and piers. I mean,
Yeah.
that was, tens of thousands of dollars. So, and so that can be quite a headache too. But that's what a TRR is.
Yeah, so there's and which is kind of a wild thing that if you're selling a house, like you think if you're selling something, you're gonna make money off it. But sometimes when you're selling a property, if you're selling it retail, it'll cost you to sell.
It will.
If you don't have enough equity, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, and you need to be ready to put in the money before you get it out, right? So because real estate is illiquid, right? Liquid means how fast you can convert an asset into cash. And so because it's really hard there's a whole bunch of steps that are involved in the sales process. Yeah, you're going to have repairs that need to be fronted, and then you'll have commissions, but you'll also have closing costs, title fees. And so those things, yeah, I mean, if you don't have equity in your house, you can come out of pocket. I mean, there are sellers I know that came out. There was one closing that I did last year where the seller came out $35,000.
Damn. To
Yeah.
sell a home.
$35,000 just to get out of it.
And they had like no other option. Like that.
They really well. There was no other option that they were willing to do.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I mean, what they could have done was they could have sold it creatively. So if they were open to an investor taking over the payments on their mortgage, then they could have gotten away from the headache of the house without having to come out that extra money. But they didn't want to go that route.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
Mm-hmm. So, but no, we're closing next Friday.
Finally.
I know. Yeah, it's been a wild one.
And I think what I'll probably do, actually, now that I think about it, is like I'll probably film another podcast about
Okay.
maybe, I don't know if it's long enough because Shawnee was super short.
Yeah, Shawnee was really short, and
So-
McKinley's going to be really short too.
Yeah, I was gonna throw in Shawnee that while we're at it, just because. So this one came in November, right? That's when we first went under contract.
We first went under contract in November.
And then what came after this? What was our next project after this one?
The next
Was it
project
Was it
was
Florida?
there a project after this one that was before Shawnee?
I think Florida.
Florida, Lakeland. That's right.
So I actually don't know much about that one. I don't know if you.
About Lakeland? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know a bit about it. So
I know almost nothing.
yeah, so we actually got that one, if I'm not mistaken, from a Facebook campaign. Because we run Facebook ads all over the country. So because we buy houses all over the country, not just in
Oh,
Oklahoma.
I thought we ran only in Oklahoma. Facebook ads?
Facebook ads? Mm-mm.
Because I know we call nationwide, right?
So we call in Oklahoma, we call a bit in Florida. So most of our calling is in Oklahoma, but yeah. But this one was from a Facebook campaign that was going on in Florida, and it was actually an investor that bought it from a trustee sale. So what happened was that this house was owned by a big REIT, which is a real estate investment trust. So basically like a big fund that owned like thousands of houses. Well, they got sued by the SEC for defrauding investors.
Damn.
And they went belly up. And so there was an investor that bought it from the trustee sale and then found our ad on Facebook and then called us up immediately
Smart.
to sell it. Yeah, and we bought it. And so we went ahead and we closed on it. I think we closed on it in February, I think. And then we went ahead and did some work on it. The big thing with that one is it had termites and pests. So
You know what's interesting that you cover termites is that
Yep.
today
uh-huh.
we just had a termite inspection, and I was gonna film it, but I asked the guy like what he looks for in a termite inspection.
Yeah.
Basically, the guy just showed up at my door. He shines a flashlight at the wall.
Yep.
And he says he looks for tiny, pin-sized holes with sand leading
Yep.
or sand tracking around.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that what causes termites to enter a home would be a leak, because he said that when something's leaking and it hits the wood, and the wood absorbs the water, termites are attracted to that and they start to eat it because they want the water. They don't really want the wood. They want wood that's wet, and so that attracts them. So if you have something that's leaking and it's dripping on the wood, that wood absorbing the water will attract the termites. And so the big thing is just to make sure nothing's leaking. That's what I learned from him when he just showed up at my house.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Another thing too is that if you do have like wood lying around your house, like don't let it lying around your house very long. Like especially whenever it rains.
oh,
Yeah.
I did
'cause-
that.
Yeah. So
That's your
actually,
fault.
there was a listing in Southwest Oklahoma City that I had last year, and it was crazy because when we had the termite inspection done, the house was completely clear, but then we went to this pile of wood that was literally right next to the house, and it was in a puddle, and he lifted it up, and there was a whole colony of termites.
Dang.
Yeah. So, but that's one way too how they can be attracted to your house. So, if you've got like any old fencing or anything like that, you clean them up.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Would that be like, what if you had a wooden fence? Wouldn't that be an issue as well? Like, if you have any wooden fences outside and it just rains, don't they eat that or no?
Well, I mean, maybe it could. I don't know if it being exposed to the elements, if maybe that would help. But what I'm saying is that like if there's like a pile of wood or anything, yeah.
That makes sense. So for Florida, what avenue was it? I forgot. It's in Lakeland.
Mm-hmm. Oregon Avenue,
Oh yeah, Oregon Avenue.
614 Oregon Avenue.
Sorry, we don't want someone to break in there.
So that one had termites. I think we had a little bit of a rat issue with it.
Dang.
Um,
Ratatouille.
so, and then really other than that, that was it. I mean, there was like a couple of small things.
How long was that project? Or it's on the market, right?
It's on market now, yeah. So the thing with Florida, at least Lakeland, right, is like way different than Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has a very, very low days on market, meaning that whenever a house is listed, it's not listed for very long before you get offers and it goes pending. At least in Lakeland, the days on market has been getting longer. And a big reason for that is the rising cost of insurance.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Well, because Florida has just been getting killed with like bad weather and everything like that, and they're also like one of the biggest risks for hurricanes.
Yeah.
So because of that, yeah, their insurance has been going up like crazy. You couple that with the rising interest rates that had been going on since 2022, and it's almost like a double whammy, So because of that, there's just not as many buyers that can afford the higher priced homes, and so it takes a lot longer for those houses to sell.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just from what I know, it was it was a pretty easy project.
It was, yeah. I mean, other than the tent with the termites, other than that, yeah, it was pretty easy.
And I remember and then after that one was Shawnee. I'm pretty
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, North Shawnee.
And that's the one we both lent on that, right?
Yes, we did. Yep.
So how much did you lend? Should we say that or?
Sure. So basically, I'm contributing half of the capital. So far, I think I'm in 23,000.
How much is Abraham in? Do you know? I forgot.
He should be pretty close to that.
Okay, you guys are the same. I put in only like 13,
Okay.
and then we're all waiting for that. And then it was kind of interesting because I'll just cover this just to get out of the way. But it was funny when someone broke into our property.
Man, oh my goodness, man. I remember that day. That was, I was like, really? Like, because we've done projects in Shawnee, like actual Shawnee, Oklahoma, right?
And I actually don't know a lot about Shawnee. Like, is Shawnee more?
Shawnee is a little bit more rural, but especially in the southern part of Shawnee, there's a lot more crime.
Okay.
And we did our projects were in Shawnee, and one of them specifically, North Park, was in the southern part of Shawnee. Did not get broken into once. We do one in Northwest Oklahoma City. We get broken into. It was nuts.
You know what's funny is that I talked to one of the neighbors. He actually came to the property and he said, "Hey, like, not only did our place get broken into, but he talked about how when we left, he saw people going through our trash and throwing them out in the street." And like he
What?
said that
Wait, just throwing it out in the street?
apparently
Were they looking for like?
So the neighbor said that he saw people at our property taking trash, and George was there when the trash was there. He pulled up, and so the guy said that he saw people going into our dumpster, throwing trash in the street, and then police showed up and made them pick it up. Something like that.
They call the police man.
They called the police on
Yeah,
them.
the police made them put it back.
So it wasn't just someone breaking in, but people.
So hold on. The cops showed up.
Yeah, that's according to what the neighbor said. Is
The
that
cops showed up, and I mean, I guess they didn't put two and two together that like the doorknob was busted off.
No, this wasn't the same day. This is a different day.
Oh, it was a different day.
Yeah, this was later on, like after the break-in. The neighbor, like we were about to leave, and the neighbor comes up and is like, "Hey, I don't know if you know, but earlier this morning there were people digging through your trash, throwing it out in the street, and I called the cops on them, and the cops pulled up and made them pick it up and stuff like that." But apparently, according to George, they littered trash like everywhere, right?
Nah, they put the trash back.
Huh?
That's super
They put the
annoying.
trash back.
But yeah, I mean that's like, and then when they broke in, they just took a crowbar, they smashed open the doorknob, and then they didn't do a lot of damage, but they actually robbed George. They robbed him of a power drill,
Yeah,
a
that sucks,
ladder,
man.
and a power washer. A drill, ladder, and a power washer, right?
Yeah.
And you ate the loss.
I mean, I cried for like 2 days straight.
Like a G.
I cried like 2 days straight.
He cried for 2 days straight. And for some reason, they unscrewed our outlets, like the outlet coverings, and they
Yeah.
kept those, which was very weird.
Yeah, that was super weird.
Wasn't expecting that.
Were they trying to check to see if it was like copper wiring or?
I don't know. I mean, they just took the casings, which are a couple cents.
Yeah.
So, very weird.
I don't know, man. Methamphetamine makes you do crazy things.
Yeah. But that project I think it went pretty well. Oh, about that project, I guess the main error that we ran into was Abraham bought 2 different kinds of flooring, and then
Yeah.
and he had Marcelino come in, lay out laminate flooring, and then after it was all done being laid out, he's like, "Nah, I don't like it."
It was super goofy looking.
I actually didn't notice it at first. I thought it was.
You
just like-
didn't?
I mean, I noticed it looked odd, but until he pointed it out, that's when I was like, "Oh yeah, it does look kind of weird." And then so we had to rip it out, and then we laid out new laminate flooring, and we went carpet for the bedrooms.
For the bedrooms, yeah.
And from what I know, that was our only mess up.
That was really, I think that was really our only hiccup.
Yeah, then everything else went pretty well from what I know.
Yeah. So,
And that was listed 2 days ago or listed recently?
we're listing it tomorrow.
Oh, we're listing it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going on the market tomorrow.
Okay, that's good.
Yep.
So, and then after that, it was Blue Way, Oregon Avenue, Shawnee,
Mm-hmm.
and now we just got Norman.
Then we
or
got
McKinley.
then we got McKinley.
And I know a lot about McKinley because I've been there,
Yeah.
and I'm working with the tenants a lot.
Yeah.
And so that one is a very unique property because we bought it and there are tenants living in there. I don't know if you have any experience with buying properties and having tenants live in there.
Uh-huh.
You don't have any, right? Or Abraham doesn't have any from what I know.
Have any with coming
Or
with-
has he? Like,
bought them with tenants in the
like
house?
flipping a property while there are tenants living there?
Rehabbing a property with tenants in there? No, I don't think he has.
So that one was I guess unique, and it's even more difficult because the tenants are college girls that go to OU, and we have to work around their schedules and be very careful not to spook them with people that look weird like George. So we have to communicate. We have to over communicate with them to make sure that they are comfortable with whoever comes in, and making sure there's always somebody there, and I guess helping them with that process. And so we actually have to halt construction from last time we went in there was Wednesday, and we can't come back in till Monday because one of the tenants, two of them are nurses or work in the medical field, and so they work overnight shifts and they sleep during the day. So we had to push back construction to Monday. So that's when we'll start to work there. And that's it's pretty much all fixed up. It's like another easy flip, like a wipe down,
Yeah.
from what I know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm documenting that whole process, hopefully better than the other ones. So now we have that one.
So far, you're doing really good with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that. It's I'm still learning how to document stuff and do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And then our fifth one, if you can call it a fifth one, was the land deal. Were you
Yeah.
involved in that? The land?
11/21, yeah.
I was just like recently informed on that one.
On that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're trying to kind of venture into new construction, and so yeah, we're under contract on a lot in Classen 10 Penn, which is just south of the Plaza District, which is like a super gentrifying part in Oklahoma City. So whole bunch of like rehabs and new construction and commercial development is going on over there.
Yeah, and like I think Abraham, he ideally wants to wholesale it with what he said, but if he sells off Blue Way, this one, Oregon Avenue, and Shawnee, then there's a decent chance that he's going to start to develop, and that'll be our first development, right?
That'll be our first one. Yep.
Does it worry you? Is it worrying?
No.
You have
Not. I mean, when you're doing anything new, when you're doing something for the first time, it's always kind of like, okay. I mean, it's always like a little uncomfortable, but I mean, I think that it's part of growth, right?
And you and Abraham are both paying for coaching as well. You joined a group.
That's
where
right.
You're
Yep.
learning how to do land. So is that going to be a thing that you're going to be more involved with, the land? Or are you just trying to get more knowledge about it?
No, I'll be actually involved in it too.
Like, what will we be doing? Like, what's your role in that land deal?
In the land deal right now?
Yeah.
So I found the deal. So it's actually on the MLS, and so whenever we were first like, let's go ahead and start, looking into finding land to develop. I was like, well, first things first, let me just look on the MLS. And then there was this lot that was like in a really good area, and it was just sitting there. And I was like, okay, well, that's priced not horribly. And I just called up the listing agent. I was like, hey, have you gotten any offers on this lot? And he was like, no, I haven't gotten anything on it. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I drove down there and I went and looked at it, and I was like, okay. And we called up the city. Abraham called up the city, and the city was like, yeah, no, it's buildable. And he even confirmed with utilities that everything was good to go there. So we're just like, okay, well, we'll just go ahead and make an offer on it. So.
And what did you guys offer on it?
So we offered 80,000, but the way that we structured the deal is we have a longer contract because there's a lot more moving parts with new construction. And with it being our first one too, we wanted to have a very long due diligence period. So our due diligence period is 90 days.
Dang.
Yeah, and then a 60-day close after that.
So 90-day due diligence and 60-day close.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because like from what I know, and it's got to be long as well because Abraham needs. You can't get a bank loan on the land, right? Or he's not getting a bank loan.
So there are lending options for land. There's more lending options for just the construction. So you can. What a lot of people do is that they'll just buy the land for cash.
Oh yeah,
and then
that's what it was.
Then they'll go and get a construction loan. But you can if you've got a good relationship with like a local bank, especially. You can get lending. They can wrap the land into the loan.
Yeah, honestly, I really hope he doesn't wholesale the land, because doing that new construction would be really cool.
It would be super cool. It'd be great for content.
So number one, content for sure. Number two, I've been building up a lot of private money lenders, and
yeah,
I have them ready. Or I have a decent amount ready. I can probably fund like.
Hey, by the way, did Abraham talk to you about that commercial deal in California that came in the CRM?
No, not yet.
Okay, because is it? So who is it that you know that's a commercial underwriter?
So one of my relatives, and we linked up recently. He's like my only relative that is in real estate.
Okay.
And he's a commercial underwriter, and he has a decent amount of cash in his bank account, and he's actually going to come down here in late April. So
nice.
This month, probably the last week or second to last week.
Gotcha.
He's going to come down here, and he's going to get a look at Abraham's business.
Nice.